Jesus 911.
Jesus 911. We're back. We're talking about Western civilization, what we must do to return to the faith, and how to restore it.
Ruben, I'll tell you why this is important, because I'm an old dude, and so are you. And I got kids, and I got grandkids coming.
Yeah.
I want there to be a Catholic influence on the world when I'm gone. Because I got 20 years, maybe 25 years, and I'm rounding third base. But the fact of the matter is, we at least had some benefit, I mean, very early on, 40, 50 years ago, of seeing this Catholic Western civilization and being the beneficiaries of it. I want this to continue for the next generation because, in my opinion, this is one of the strategies of Satan. Mm-hmm. How do you destroy people's faith in the gospel? Well, first of all, you got to start destroying the culture, because if you can destroy the culture and take out anything that smacks of Christianity or the Catholic faith, you make a total secular culture, and this is why we have so many NONES, nuns in the church right now, because they've just basically embraced secular humanist thought and moral relativism.
And what you said from the beginning, when you destroy the catechesis, you destroy the liturgy.
It affects everything.
It affects everything, and we saw that was the goal of the Masons. The Alta Vendita. You destroy the Mass, and you destroy the liturgy. You destroy their belief.
The law of the prayer is the law of faith.
Absolutely.
So if you destroy the law of prayer and doctrine and liturgy, you're going to destroy people's faith, and this is why only 20% of Catholics are attending church right now in the United States. What else does the article say, Ruben? Talks about Homer. When reading Homer, for instance, one can't escape the fact that Homer places great emphasis on the family. Okay? Mm-hmm. The Trojan War, the event which the Iliad concerns itself, began because of marital infidelity and the dissolution of a family. For our Homeric heroes, the Trojan War ends in the return journey of Odysseus to his faithful wife Penelope and their son Telemachus. Odysseus desires only to be reunited with his family and save his countrymen. This is Homer's ideal of piety. So Paul Cross in this article is pointing out that even Greeks who didn't have an understanding of the one true God, because this is pre-Christianity, even they understood how important family was, how important marriage was, and how important country was. And even within their understanding of many gods, there was some what you could call natural virtue and natural piety, even in these Greeks that did not have an understanding that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and he's pointing out some classic writings, this author is. And he also talks about Hector, the tragic hero of Iliad, is the most honorable of all the characters. Medieval Christians admired him too, immortalizing him among the nine worthies. As with Odysseus, he's devoted to his family, fatherland, and ancient gods. Perhaps the most touching moment in the Iliad is Hector's goodbye to his wife and son, when the warrior prince removes his armor to comfort his crying son and say a prayer to Jove. Though a Trojan, he too embodies Homer's deeply Hellenic ideal of piety. So again, like Jesse just said, they didn't know the God as we knew him, but they're doing their best, in terms of like natural law. The Catholic encounter with this esteem for family and fatherland was a productive one. When the decadent and exhausted Greeks and Romans forsook their own traditions, it was Catholicism that reinvigorated the pieties of Athens and Rome and breathed new light into their ancient stories. Thus, the marriage between Athens, Rome, and Jerusalem was made, and those three cornerstones became foundational to what we call the Western tradition.
Yeah, that's powerful. Athens is, that's the intellectual, that's the city where the intellect comes from. Athens, you have Greece. Jerusalem, that's where the faith comes from. And then you have Rome, that's basically the center, the magisterial center of the authority of Christ. And we see all three of those played in the life of the Catholic Church. There's an intellectual branch of the Catholic Church. There's the Petrine branch of the Catholic Church. And then there's also the faith branch, the sacrifice branch of the Catholic Church. And there it is. Athens, Rome, and Jerusalem, all three of those make up what we call the Catholic faith in Western civilization. The article ends, Ruben, and it says, the West is sick. There can be no doubt about that. But the Western man doesn't need the mercy on offer by church leaders, the peaceful demise of a euthanized invalid. Just as Greece and Rome were sick when Christianity arrived on the scene, the Christian or post-Christian must be reoriented towards God, family, and country, as the Catholic Church has always taught. What we need is a reinvigoration of the Catholic Church, not its continued backsliding into irrelevancy while holding hands and singing Kumbaya as if that were the summit of the Christian life. In other words, Paul Cross is saying that we've become soft as a church. And as a result of that, Ruben, I just read another article that just pained me, which it could segue into in this topic. I read an article last night that is saying that a lot of a lot of Hispanic Catholics in the East Coast and the West Coast are converting to Islam. Now, how am I segueing that into this article? I'll tell you how. Why are these especially men in New Jersey, New York, and Los Angeles, why are they Hispanic Catholics? Why are they converting to Islam? You know why? There is no Kumbaya Catholicism there.
Yeah.
There is no holding hands Catholicism. And let's just be honest. They worship it's a masculine way. Who worship like that? Moses did. Moses was a man's man. And I'll be honest with you, Ruben, this is why, for example, like this Sunday, I'm going to Mater Misericordiae for my, bi-monthly dosage of the Latin Mass. When I go in there, I'm just being objective. In the Latin Mass, I see the worship is very manly. You know what it reminds me of? Like the tomb, the tomb of the unknown soldier. You know the way you have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have an armed soldier that just paces up and down in front of the tomb of the unknown soldier. It looks very manly. Mm-hmm. The movements, the postures, the dress. Ruben, that's what I see in the Latin Mass. I see the postures are very manly. The liturgical vestments, the fiddleback, are very manly. The way of approaching the altar, very manly. And then, I'm just being objective here. Then I go to the typical Novus Ordo parish, which I go to as well.